Hi there. Welcome to Craft with Kathie.
It was a little crazed. So I really don't like how this turned out. I especially don't like how I did the windows. My, why can't I remember the name? My shimmer shadow was kind of dried out and clumpy, and it didn't really go through the silk screen right. By the way, I used chalk paste on this, not chalk paint. It's chalk paste. Goes on liquid, but it does dry to a nice hard finish. I'm not going to erase it or brush it off like you would chalk on a chalkboard. That doesn't happen. However, you might want to think of this little chalkable shape as being kind of magic. This is our boutique surface, and our boutique surface is our chalkboard, which means I can spray this with water after I've chalked on it. Notice I was running and scraping my hand over it, and I didn't have any impact on it. But I could spritz this with a little bit of water, and then I can either use my board scraper, which is great for scraping off paint. You could scrape it off paste. I said great for scraping off chalk paste, either dry or wet, or you could use a board eraser. I'm going to actually show you how to use both. I'm going to cut this board eraser in half. I a lot of times cut my board erasers in half because a lot of times I'm working on a rectangular or a square surface, and a circle doesn't really get into the corners. So this way, in half or in quarters, I could actually get into the corners of things. I'm going to let this set for a little bit. And what else? I use this poor beat up detail tool as part of my live. I cracked the end off. Now this is made out of probably some kind of silicone and a hard plastic. There's the pointy end. This poor thing has been through the mill. I cracked the end off because I was trying to pry something open with it, which was not my brightest move, because obviously it's plastic. Hello. Normally our detail tool looks like this. It has a little cap. It's a very pointy end. Great for going in there if you've got anything that's a little bleed and just scraping it off once the chalk paste is dried and cleaning it up. That's one way to do it. So this is the way it normally looks. And then the other side has this little tiny squeegee. So, whatever. I don't even know what to say about that poor detail tool. So anyway, I'm going to come in here and show you the board eraser. I generally will use my, use the board scraper. I generally will use my board eraser for this though. So you can go like this. Okay, I just think it's a little bit messier to use this, so I usually use my board eraser, but you can hear this kind of scraping against the shimmer shadow because it is kind of shimmery, and it's a little gritty, I guess, from the shimmer. But that's fine. It's how it's supposed to be, okay? So I could use this, and of course, what did I not bring down here? Oops, paper towels. Obviously, if you're going to do this, you want paper towels to clean it up. So you could do this. If you want it, I like using the board eraser more, actually, if it's dry first and scraping off the paste while it's dry and then coming back with the board eraser. But everybody has their own thing that they like. So here is the magic of using a boutique surface. And we have lots of different boutique surfaces. Obviously, our chalkable chips and our chalkable shapes are the boutique, but we also have some framed options that are available. So I'm going to just take this little board eraser. They come in 2 in a pack, by the way, and they're pretty economical. And look at how quickly it removes the image. Now, the board eraser was called board eraser with the idea that you could remove ghosting from one of our boutique surfaces if you had had the image on for a long time and it was something that was highly pigmented. The board eraser is great for removing that ghosting. So that's something to keep in mind if you're removing a design that's been on for months or years or whatever, right? Or it's in a bright red or in black, anything that's highly pigmented. Okay, so most of this is off. I'm going to come back and clean it up a little bit nicer than I've done here, but let me clean up my surface a little bit. Getting used to my new sprayer. We no longer sell the famous sprayer, and this one I really don't like. I just ordered one the other day that I'm hoping is by the same manufacturer that made ours, and we'll see when it comes in a couple days. if it performs the same. Okay, so now I've got a bunch of paste on the back. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit too. Oops. This keeps spraying after I let go too long and I don't realize it. And I have to be careful. I set it down, and if I set it down standing up, it's still spraying. I'll be spraying something I don't intend to. Obviously not the same manufacturer as our Fine Mist sprayer, but whatever. When you can't find something, you sometimes have to settle. And that's what I did when I bought that mister. Okay, so there's a little bit of shadowing or a little bit of the gray and maybe the red on there. I'm going to just wet the other side of my board eraser, and all you have to do to clean these is run them over to the sink, run them under water, squeeze out the water, whatever, and that's it. So basically, that's all there is to cleaning our surface, which then means it's reusable. And if you don't want streaks and whatever, you could use our fuzzing cloth, the microfiber side of the fuzzing cloth, to dry it. I usually do that more on a board. This is a little shape, but terry side microfiber. If this was a chalkboard, I'd probably use the microfiber side here just to make sure there weren't any streaks or whatever. And that's all there is to it. Simple, simple, right? Oops, except I must have gotten some on here and just smeared it. Okay, so now I have this surface that is reusable, and I'm going to use it again. Let me clean up my mat a little bit here. And obviously it's double-sided, so you could do two different types of images if you want. Use different colors. So here's my transfer. There's some staining on it because I didn't clean it right away after I finished. And that's okay. You know, obviously clean your transfers as soon as you can. It just discolored from the paste pigment, but it works just as fine on subsequent uses as it did with the original. Just make sure you don't have any paste stuck in the actual silk screen, and you can hold it up to the light to see, has it just stained it or are there clumps of paste in there? So I am going to redo this, and I'm going to do the second part, or what was going to be the second part of the previous country church. I'm going to do it all tonight, or this morning. It's after midnight here. What could I say? I'm coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago. Drop me a line. Let me know where you're viewing from. Busy, busy weekend and whatever. But I've been anxious to get back to this because I just wasn't happy with it. I know I had such an issue with vertigo. I couldn't get the transfer lined up on the surface, and it just kind of everything fell apart from there. And you know what? Sometimes that happens. No matter how much we want to be creative, sometimes things go a little off kilter or askew or something. I just saw a little piece of fuzz back here that I don't want on the silk screen. Fuzz or something. Okay. So let's see if I could align this up a little bit better this time around. I generally like starting at a small spot, like up here at the cross, making sure that's aligned, and then kind of going down through it and making sure that everything lines up. Look at this. First try, right? Make sure there aren't any air bubbles, little pockets of air underneath your silk screen. You could feel around with your fingers, tilt it up and look at it to see. I have a little piece of fuzz or something underneath here that's stuck on the transfer layer. I got, oops, did I get it off? I see the little line. I hope that's not paste. No, okay, little piece of fuzz. So let me just put that back down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it a little bit different. Everything is going to be the nominee, so it's going to be the gold paste. If you don't have nominee, which is a gold metallic, use your shimmer gold. You'll probably give it a little bit more sparkle with the shimmer. But I'm going to be using shimmer for my second part of it, so I just want them to look a little bit different, so I'm using the nominee right now. Nominee was a color of the month. I think it was for, was it only August? Isn't that new? August or July, and it's a beautiful, beautiful gold metallic. So I'm going to hop right in here. Like I said, I'm doing the whole thing. We'll do the orange. We'll do the door. Where did the word orange come out of my mouth? Where did that come from? I'm going to do the door in red, and then I have like the knocker of the door and the hinges that I will do in the black shimmer shadow. Can't decide which way I want to go at this first. Okay, I'm going to come up here. The only thing you have to do when you're chalking a shape like this is be careful to keep the squeegee on the shape as much as possible, because when you go off the edge of the shape, you're actually putting paste on an area of the transfer that doesn't need it, and it's a little bit difficult to scrape off because it's not a hard surface. You've got basically nothing underneath this. You've got a little space between the transfer and the mat. So just kind of watch for that. I mean, the worst thing that happens is you can't put the paste back in the jar, so you waste a little paste. Doesn't hurt anything. But why waste it if you could save it, right? A little bit of paste truly goes a long way. If you're a member of our Club Couture, our Club Couture normally comes with 3 individual paste packets, and those packets will usually make the design 2 or more times, depending upon how much silk screen there is, how many things are being colored in, and how many of the different colors are necessary. But I generally suggest using your packets in a certain way, opening them in one way and then rolling them up and closing them for subsequent uses, because most likely you're going to have paste left over even after doing the project twice. Make something for yourself, make it for a friend or as a gift for someone, whatever, but save those paste packets. Don't throw it out when there's paste in there. Squeeze out the air and roll it on up, and then secure it with either a clip or a paper clip or even washi tape. I mean, I suppose you could staple it, but I think that would be a pain to open up. But anyway, it'll keep pretty good as long as it's sealed well, and then use it for another project. Why not, right? I love the jars. I obviously do a fair amount of chalking. So the 3-ounce jars are really the way to go for me. And excuse all my jars laying around. I'm kind of sorting through them. Some of them need a little TLC. They've gotten a little dry. Generally, our paste is good for at least a year. But I know I have some pastes that are way older than that. And they need a little, they've gotten a little thickened up. And they need a little bit of distilled water to bring them back to the appropriate consistency. Our chalk paste is made from chalk, so whereas our new version, our creamy dreamy version of the chalk paste doesn't dry out as much as our older versions does, it's still chalk. And especially if you leave the lid off of it, chalk's dry, so it's going to dry out. So try and cap up things when you're done with them. When you go on to the next color, put the lid on. So you could rejuvenate it using just distilled water. Always use distilled water so you don't have any issues with the minerals in your tap water impacting the pigment of the paste. And if you accidentally put too much water in and the paste is not the proper consistency any longer, just leave the lid off and give it a stir every now and then until it gets the appropriate consistency. Okay, I was going over making sure that I don't have any lines, removing the excess. Looks like I have everything covered. I have a little excess right here. Let me grab that off. I'm going to put the excess back into the jar. And then I'm covering it up. I try and learn from my mistakes. How I had ended up with gray paste here, obviously I set the squeegee when I was working on this a couple days ago on the wrong lid. I'm going to have to clean that up later on. Okay, so let me lift this off. Always lift from the top, the bottom, the left to the right. Never pull or tug on the corners. And where is my little detail tool? I'm going to use that little pointed end to hold this down while I lift it. And I'm going to take the broken one because it's broken. Why not, right? So just going to hold it in place so that it doesn't lift up when I lift up the transfer. And I'm going to look at it. Oh, I've got a little bit of bleeding, but that's okay. I've got a little bleeding right here over the archway for the door. But the best way to clean that up is use the detail tool. Once it's dry, I could scrape that right off. So I'm going to put this on the side. Don't want to smudge it with my fingers. And of course, I just got paste on my finger and paste on it, right? But let me clean this up real quick, show you how to clean it. Real easy to clean our transfers. I would suggest bringing this over to a sink, and if you have the spray, use the spray. If you don't, just use the running water. And you can massage it with your fingers or board eraser to the rescue. Look at how quick and easy this takes the paste off. So you want to get all the paste off of the top side first, the non-sticky side. Our transfers are made of vinyl and silkscreen, and the back of the transfers are adhesive, which allows them to stick to our surface, give you a nice smooth connection, a nice smooth adherence. I can't think of the right word for that, but anyway, so that your paste doesn't bleed when it goes through the silkscreen onto the surface beneath it. Now I'm taking just a disinfecting wipe and going over this really nice, making sure I've got all the paste out of it. And clean up my mat, flip it over, and then I'm going to clean the paste from the other side. If I'm using something that's really, really highly pigmented or whatever, sometimes I have to clean the top again after I clean the sticky side. If you're unsure, hold it up to the light, see if you've got all the paste out of it. And generally I try to go in somewhat of a circular, whoops, you have to slow down a little bit. It's a little bit of a circular motion to get the paste out of the silk screen, but obviously this is easier at a sink with running water. But if you don't have access to running water where you're chalking, excuse me, you could do it on your mat like I'm doing. And if you don't have a mat, you could use a plastic paper towel, seriously, to lay down on your surface and protect it. Obviously, it's not going to protect it if you're using any sharp materials. This is a self-healing mat, so it's great for other things as well. I've got this little flake on here again. I don't know what the heck that is. Piece of glue or something? I don't know. Okay, I've got it off. I just wanted to go over that one more time. Now, when you've done the adhesive side, when you're done cleaning the paste off of it, go back over it in one direction with your disinfecting cloth to remove the fuzz from your fuzzing towel. The fuzz that you deliberately applied to lessen the stickiness. Now you want to remove that so that you can get the stickiness to return for the next use. Okay, once you're done with this, put it on a flat surface. You can use a cookie drying rack if you want. Put it on a flat surface to dry. Simple as that. So, I'm going to let this dry, and in the meantime, I'm going to show you the second part of this. Clean up my squeegee and stuff a little bit here. Obviously, again, you could do this at the sink. Probably be easier and not as messy as I'm being right now, but if you don't have access, you could do it wherever you're working. Okay, now the other transfer is called Vintage Peace and Joy, and it is absolutely beautiful. There's actually 6 different images here, and I'm going to take this out of the little cellophane envelope it comes in, or in this case, the big cellophane envelope it comes in. This happens to be one of our C-size transfers, which means it's 12 by 18 inches. We have 5 different sizes of transfers, well, kind of 6. Our minis are usually 8.5 by 11, but they're 12 on a sheet, so they're a little bit smaller, hence why they're called our minis. Okay, so I'm going to cut these because I'm going to use them individually. Let me get this out of the way. Okay. And I'm trying something new for myself. We'll see how it works. Our transfers that are multiple pieces have cut lines so that you can use your transfer trimmers, or if you don't have a transfer trimmers, whatever scissors you do have, I like the transfer trimmers because they have a longer blade and they have like a Teflon coating or whatever, so that the adhesive, when you're cutting through them to use them or cutting it into pieces, the adhesive does not gum up the blade of the scissors. So I am not cutting through the back of the transfer. I am just cutting through the vinyl and the silk screen now. I'm going to leave my transfer backing, my sheet that attaches to the sticky side, intact. So when I'm done using these, I could put them back and I'll have this big sheet like this back in the envelope hanging in my armoire. Generally, I would cut through the backer, but then these would all be stacked in the envelope and I would only see the ones in front. This way, it'll allow me to see everything. I don't know if that's going to really work for me or not, but I figured I'll try it on a couple different sizes, see how it goes, and if it works, then I'll switch to that method. But normally, I would cut through the backer sheet. If you're having a hard time separating your transfer from the backer sheet, just run your finger over an edge like this, and it'll generally lift up. Just so you know. Sometimes without nails, my nails are really shot right now. It could be a challenge to lift something up.
Our holiday collection debuts Thursday, September 14th, and the designers have outdone themselves this time around. It is absolutely amazing. This transfer is one of the collection of vintage, and we have vintage, modern, more traditional. It's kind of all over. It's something to suit everyone. And we have this really cool new tool called the tassel maker. I'm sure it's going to make it a breeze. I can't wait to get my hands on it. But seriously, we had a little pre-order and it was difficult to make decisions. I can't wait for my order to arrive. I'm so excited about it. If you haven't already seen my short 5-minute video with the new designs, check it out. It's awesome.
I am going to put all of these on this board, and I want it to serve as a backdrop for the country church. That's kind of where I'm going. And I am going to use this color called Duchess, which is one of our colors of the month. If you don't have Duchess and you want to achieve the same color, I would suggest taking our Ocean Mist and maybe mixing it with a little of our Shimmer Frost, which will turn it into a shimmer. This might be a hair or just a tiny shade darker. So I'm going to take one of these transfers and I'm going to fuzz it a few times. Like I said, these fit perfectly on our 6x6 box frames and would make an amazing little vignette if you group them together. And let's see, I'm going to go, trying to decide how far in do I want to go with these. I think I'm going to go right here. Okay, so I've already fuzzed it. Let me get the transfers out of my way. So that I can chalk this. And I want to make sure, of course, that I don't have any air bubbles. I think I just saw an air bubble here. So let me lift it, reapply it, make sure that's nice and smooth. Now, again, this is our boutique surface. So if there was an air bubble or a bleed or something was wrong, it'd be really easy to just fix it. Just wash it off like I did with the country church. So here's my Duchess. Oops. Oh, isn't that a beautiful, beautiful color? And obviously I want to stay on the surface. I want to stay on the transfer. I don't want to get paste off of it. But then again, if I accidentally do, you know how easy it is to clean it up and remove the paste. So these, anything with our boutique surfaces are really good for beginner chalkers. Our paste can be used on chalkboard, dry erase board, wood, metal, mirror, fabric. I haven't done any outside rugs yet, like a bristle rug or whatever, but it's one thing I've got planned for this, for autumn. Pretty much anything without a real high nap. I've done them on imitation velvet pillowcases before, and they've turned out beautiful. But it is erasable from our boutique surfaces. If you use it on wood, not so much, because the wood will absorb the pigment. And also fully erasable on glass, metal, and mirror. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up. Oh, is that pretty? And yes, definitely vintage. The name definitely fits it. It is definitely a little vintage image. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry and do another one. Let's see where I need to put it to dry. Let me grab get my fuzzing towel here. I just need a way of juggling this stuff a little bit easier. And I'm going to put, what do I want to put next to it? Let's see. I'm going to do this Christmas Joy and Happiness that doesn't have a border. I'm going to alternate these a little bit as I go through this. Oh wait, do I want to put this next to it? Yeah, I can put it next to it. Why not? I'll just be careful. Maybe I'll put it on top of it. Oh, I think I'll put it on top of it. Or maybe I'll just put it on the top. Decisions. I really didn't think that out too much, but I think I'll put it. Do I want to put it on the top? Let's see. I don't want to lose my image here. I don't know. I want this straight. Okay. I know that's a little crooked. Let me lay it down again. You know what? I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to put this right in the middle. I really like what it says, and I don't want to cut it off. So I'm going to go with Christmas Joy and Happiness right at the top. When I'm done, you'll kind of see what I'm angling for, the purpose behind, the meaning behind my madness or whatever. And yes, I'm using Duchess again here. This light blue shimmer. Almost reminiscent of the sky. Yes, that's kind of what I'm going for. I kind of want it to be like a sky backdrop. Now there's a lot of very fine wording here, and because of our silk screen, that print is going to come through beautifully. Going over it, removing the excess paste, removing any lines, putting the paste back into the jar. Kind of like, okay, rinse and repeat, right? Let's lift this up. Here we go. And let's see what else I want to use. Yep, let me fuzz this first though. I have to be careful that this is still wet. And I might be able to use some of these twice. If you need to use a transfer more than one time, most often you could use it right after you've made it the first impression. Just put it in another place and do it again. That really depends upon your paste and how quickly it's drying. And I want to stick my finger in there. And I don't want to go over the other, what I've already inked. So here we go with this one. And yes, I should probably be using a bigger squeegee. I am using our mini squeegee, even the small squeegee. I'm not even sure where I have it around here. But it's funny, I always seem to gravitate towards using my minis. And being that these are so large, I could use actually, or even our handled squeegee would work fine. And would make this a little bit quicker. I think I've only used our handled squeegee one time. And it felt very awkward to me because it has a handle, obviously, handled squeegee. So I don't generally use it, but it's actually ideal for like porch leaners or anything very large would be perfect. So again, here I am, removing any lines, the excess paste. Make sure I have everything covered. And back in the jar. I'm just thinking here that I'm sticking these on the edge of my table until I get around to cleaning them.
I really apologize for the shakiness of this video. I actually had my Surface prop partially up on my tripod that's holding my camera. So as I'm chalking over the transfer, I'm making the whole tripod and everything shake. Oops.
Let me fuzz this up first. Definitely one of my longer projects, I have to admit. That's why I was actually thinking of doing this in 2 stages. Once I get this surface done, I'll go back to the church, fix my little blur on there, and add the door and the hinges. Okay, I don't want to put this down and catch anything else. Oh, I'm going to end up overlapping, aren't I? Let's just do it like this. Is probably not dry. Let me think about it a moment. Might have been wise of me to, if I had cut these apart and cut the backer sheet, might have been smart of me to lay them out and just see how they'd fit on here. I'm torn with how I want to do this. Okay, I'm going to go right here. And then I'm not going to fully lay this down here because I don't think that's fully dry yet. Oops, and I've got a little air bubble. Let me fix that. And I'll lay it down soon, but right now I'm just going to start chalking it. I should have had my dryer out here so that I could dry these in between. I want to get as most of the image as I can from each individual transfer. It might be a little bit cut off, and I would off my transfer onto the surface below, and I didn't mean to. And here I'm running right up into that other image, so I don't want to go over it. I'm trying to be careful there to only go over where there isn't something already chalked. And let's see what this looks like. That's fine. I almost want it to look like a bunch of newsprint that's just been put down willy-nilly. Running out of space here. Getting into the dog's territory. Last thing I want is one of my transfers falling off of the edge of the table on top of my white husky. Oh, will that be nice? Okay. Oh, whoops. And I was talking about her, and she just got up and almost ran right into it. No, we don't want that. Maggie, go lay down. She says, Mama, what are you doing up? I'm trying to sleep, and you're interrupting me. Ignore her. She's lapping up water right now. She's a thirsty little girl. I suspect I would have, if I had thought this through a little bit, have thrown the wreath in the center, but I didn't think about that, so I think it looks good so far the way it is though anyway. So let's get on to the wreath. I think our Holiday 2023 lookbook has these actually in the 6x6 inch frames, and the frames are color coordinated to match the chalk paste that's used on the image. I thought they turned out really, really sharp. Very, very striking. I'm going to put this right up here close to it. I am going off the edge. Look at those pretty birds. So I'm only going to use part of this. I will use the other side, the other part on the other side. Just want it to kind of be a, what's the word I'm thinking of? I'm thinking hodgepodge, but that's not what I want. Varied images put down together. I just can't think of the word for it. Oh, those birds are so sweet, aren't they? Now I'm going to actually use this and grab the other edge right here. I don't want to go over my wet paste again. I'll try holding that up. And I did get some of the paste from the transfer on it. That's okay. It'll work. If anybody thinks of that word that I mean, drop it in the comments. Okay, I might not reuse one of these. I've got one left, and as long as I don't get these stuck to my jeans as I'm right up against the table here, I'm getting a little cramped on space. Let me fuzz the last one. Or maybe I'll set this aside. But anyway, my idea behind this is to actually have it be the backdrop for the country church. And the reason I use the Duchess is I wanted it to be reminiscent of the blue sky. So that's what I'm just going for with it. I am going to set this aside and let the wreath here and the birds dry along with my joy and peace just for a minute. Take a look at my country church, work on that, and then come back and attack this when I set the church aside to dry. Okay, now I need to get rid of this smudge right in here, and I need to, this was me smudging with my fingers, and I have this little bleed. Let me clean my fingers, and I'll show you how we do that. Detail tool to the rescue here, pointy end. This should be dry, so I'm just going to go across it and etch, or scrape if you will, this paste. See how easy it comes off? It just flakes off. Obviously, if I ran my hand across it, it wouldn't do that, but a sharp little tool like this will remove it. So that's the easiest way to get rid of a bleed, and then this I should probably just wash, or I could do my dry board eraser, and take it off with that. Or I could wet it. I just don't want to get any moisture anywhere that I'm not intending on. Okay, that's almost gone. There we go for that. Let me blow off the little gold flakes with this. I saw another smudge here, right up here. Tiny little smudge near the bell. Let me just work on scraping that off. See how easy it is to fix it once it's dried. So if you have any little bleeds or smudges, the detail tool is really good for that. Okay, so time for the door, right? Let me get, where did I put that transfer? Okay, it's under things over here. I want to fuzz the door before I lay it down on it. I have paste on my fingers. Please excuse my dirty fingers here. I didn't get all the paste off like I thought I had. Okay, air bubble there. I want to make sure I get rid of that air bubble. Make sure it's lined up properly. And it's flat. Okay. Another squeegee, and where did I put my cherry red? I think this is it. Cherry. Okay. Now, this bled last time, and I think I might have just scraped too hard across it, so I'm going to try and not do that, and go a little bit more gently with it. But I want to make sure that I don't run into any of the areas that are already chalked in gold. So I'm going to move my, well, this is silly. I know better than to do that. Got my multi-tool out here for just this reason, so that I could get into the smaller areas. When times call for something smaller than a mini squeegee, multi-tool works great. And if you need something smaller too, go with the detail tool and that really, really, really tiny little end on that. I've got an ear bubble there. Hopefully that turns out okay. I'm not sure. The paste doesn't go through evenly usually with an air bubble, so I might have to have a little repair work there. No, it's not going through. I'm going to have to lift it and see what I can do. That or put a wreath or something on the door and camouflage it right. Hey, no, just happy accidents like Bob Ross would say. No mistakes. I'm going to lift it and see if I can just go over it. Ah, that kind of blurred. That didn't work well, did it? Ah. Okay, well, I say that's going to get a tiny wreath. A little bleeding up at the top, I'll fix with the detail tool. Let me close up my cherry red. Get it out of here. I think the wreath on the door is a good idea. Let me clean up my fingers and then we'll continue on. Peace and joy. Another one, or this is the one that says Season's Greeting, and he has the Christmas tree with some packages and a nice little fireplace right over here in the bottom left corner, bottom right corner, and then there's musical notes over here behind the tree. So this is really very pretty, very detailed transfer. And I want to dry my surface, so let me go back over here with my fuzzing cloth and dry this up. Okay. So I want to come in here, and this should all be dry, and just lay it down here. You don't want to chalk into that bird, so I'm going to miss part of it, but there we go. Okay. And yes, I know I left my paste open. I should have covered it up. No, I did go over the wording. That's okay. But I'm going to try and stay away from the wreath. A collage, that's the word I was thinking of earlier. Yes, I want it to look like a collage of images. And a lot of times with a collage, they overlap a little bit. So I suppose if I did go over some of the other images, it really wouldn't be an issue. So a collage of the images from Vintage Peace and Joy, serving as my backdrop is like a sky for the country church. That's where I'm at with this. Okay, I think I've got this, all the excess taken off. I need to clean my fingers because I did make a mess. Messy Kathie, chalky Kathie, what could I say, right? Okay. Yeah, I've got paste underneath my fingernails. Oh well. There we go. Oh wow, I like it. I think I should have probably moved these closer together in the center, but then I'm going to put the country church on top. Don't need to because it's going to be covered. So let me put this on the side to dry. Do a little bit of cleanup here, and then we'll go back to the country church and get that finished up. I'm actually going to move this out of the way so that I don't accidentally spritz it with water or anything, and clean up some of these transfers. I really don't like cleaning my transfers while I'm live because I'm thinking it's like asking you to watch paint dry or paint get cleaned. See that, how that spray keeps going? Don't like that. You have to get a better spray bottle. Okay. Let's see how fast and easy it is to clean the transfers. Yeah, who likes cleaning up after a project, right? I usually don't. I want to go on to something more fun, but it's the price you pay for the beauty you create, right? And seriously, wait until you see the holiday 2023 designs. They are awesome, awesome, awesome. Just beautiful, beautiful. Just amazing. I use the word beautiful too often, but they are. They're striking, they're detailed, they're sweet, they're kind of, some of them are contemporary. We have a whole group of vintage ones. They're amazing. So, what else is new? Our Club Couture has a new addition to Club Couture kits every month for the same price. Not only do you get an 8.5 by 11 inch transfer, 3 individual paste packets, but now you also get an embellishment that is specifically tailored to the project. And the last couple have been a chalkable shape, like our church. Last month's was a pumpkin. And I know I didn't do a live with my Chalk Couture. There's a lot of things going on here, and unfortunately, my Club Couture, and I just haven't done it yet, which is shameful. I'm embarrassed. But I will. And this month's is the chalkable shape. Has to do with the wording. It's beautiful. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow as a live because it is pretty outstanding and lots of fun. It's going to be interesting. So Club Couture is an hour or so of creative bliss that comes directly to your door once a month for only $21.99 in the U.S. The shipping is on us, $26.99 in Canada. And remember, our transfers are reusable, so make it for yourself, make it for a friend, make it as a gift. There's a whole bunch of other things too. You can now sign up for Club Couture and pay in advance, which gives you a certain amount of a discount on it. And I think you can go 3, 6, or 9 months. I'm sorry, not 3 months. I think it's 6 or 9 months, 6, 9, or 12 months to get the discount, I think. I could be wrong on that, so, whatever. And then if you don't particularly like an image, you have until the 5th of the month to say, this isn't my style, this isn't my taste, I'm going to gift this to someone else. And you could send it to someone else, and we will ship it to them instead of you, but it has to be done by the 5th of the month. Which I think is kind of cool and kind of nice. There's been very few images or Club Couture things that I have not fallen in love with every month. I mean, really, I could probably count maybe 2 or 3 of them. And honestly, once I start seeing how they're used in different techniques or different surfaces that they're on or different colors or whatever the spins are, I usually fall in love with them anyway. So that's really not very likely, truly. But it's a great way to tip your toe in the water. Your first Club Couture will come with a squeegee, so you have everything you need to make your project. You pick out the surface. You decide what you're going to do it on, and we give you everything else to do. You could follow, you get written and also video instructions, and you could do it as suggested or put your own spin on it and do it however you want. It's really kind of a cool way of doing it. And one of the things that I fell in love with, and I just absolutely couldn't believe, is first of all, our removable, our boutique surfaces where you could make a mistake or reuse the surface, and it's so easy to remove. That just blew me away. But that and the fact that you could get a project done generally in under an hour. I mean, really, how do you do that? I mean, I'm a stamper, or a former stamper. I don't do a lot of paper crafting anymore just because I'm so in love with chalk. But when did I ever just spend an hour and actually have something complete? I mean, it's just amazing. And with Club Couture, you can. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Let me clean up one more. Just before I'll clean up two of them. I clean up two quicker when they're sitting next to each other anyway. This way I don't have them dangling in front of me where I could accidentally get them stuck to my clothing or stuck to the table or, God forbid, fall on the floor and get dog fur on them, you know. I have a husky. She's a shedder. I swear I'm thinking of getting that new vacuum where you just vacuum the fur off the dog. I don't know if she'd freak out about it or not, though. She's kind of older, so might not particularly like that. But honestly, it's really hard to keep up with their fur. I had a husky before that bonded with my brother, and he kind of stole my dog. And then I had a golden that I thought was a real major shedder, that I think in retrospect he was probably part golden and part husky now. So, I mean, I knew what I was getting into, but she is a lovable sweetheart. And for whatever reason, her owner didn't want her. I honestly, I don't understand. I don't know the history behind it. So I got her when she was 7. And she's just a sweet, beautiful, absolutely beautiful little dog. I almost wonder if she might have been from a puppy mill situation, which would be really sad. So I hope I'm giving her a good life here. Okay, look at, I've cleaned 6 of these, plus the house, plus the door. Spending a lot of time with cleanup tonight. I appreciate your sticking around, and I apologize for the time it's taking me. It's just sometimes, every now and then I run into a project that's a little bit more involved. Like I said, usually Club Couture, no problem in under an hour. But I'm actually using, well, look at, I've used 6 different images on the backdrop. And then, oops, did I already flip that over? Yep, I did. Cleaning the wrong side again. And then the country church. So kind of a lot going on. Not my typical project. Most of the times they're much simpler than this, but I think the end result will be worth the additional little bit of time that I've spent on it. Okay, I've got all the paste off. Let's get all the lint off of it. And then put these aside to dry. Should put the cap on my detail tool here so I don't lose it. Okay, let me put these aside to dry. A big smudge that went through when I went over it, and it still is not dry. So I'm definitely covering this with one of our wreaths. I don't have one handy. I will take a picture and post it so you could see what it looks like. And I smudged it, didn't I? Maybe it needs some snow on the doorstep. I'll have to think of what I'm going to do with that. I should have been more careful. I should have known not to go over it when I knew it had an air bubble. Okay. I am finishing this up. I wasn't going to actually go live to do it, but I decided that I would because I wanted to share a couple little things that I ran into. My big oops on the door. I was going to hide it with a wreath, but I said, whoops, look at that wreath's too big. And then I fiddled around. I was going to shorten up the wreath and make it a little bit smaller, shorten the diameter or whatever. That didn't really work either. So I ended up washing off the door and re-chalking the door. So I need to add the hinges, the knocker, and actually the little window, which I almost forgot about the window. So being that I am going to lay a second color of paste over the first color chalk paste, I'm going to wax it first. So I'm going to add a little bit of wax. I'm only going to wax the door, and I think I'm going to wax the whole door. I was only going to do where the knocker and the hinges went, but so putting the wax on here acts as a barrier between the original red paste and what I'm going to put on over it. And the reason you want to do that is once you're doing paste on top of paste, you want that barrier because you don't want the moisture of the paste, and of course it comes off with the wax. You don't want the moisture from the second layer of paste to blend with the first layer of paste and basically lift it up. So I just put the paste on. Now I'm kind of like buffing off the excess. And we're just going to go with that. Easy peasy, doesn't really take off much. I'm having a little bit of a time struggling because I have something on the back of this. I will show you that in a moment. Show you how I'm going to attach it to my arched frame. But before I get started with that, I want to quickly show you something. This is Superstitious. This is September's color of the month. Isn't it beautiful? Oops. Oh, great. Well, at least I didn't break it. Perfect for Halloween. It goes nicely with Take Note. These are going to be 2 hot colors for Halloween decor. If you haven't snagged your Superstitious, go grab it now because it's low quantity and they don't think it'll last till Thursday. So I had already fuzzed this transfer with my hinges, and I'm going to put my hinges on here. I think that's how it should go. Oops. And then I'll do my little knocker. Oh, maybe my knocker should go right where it is. Wait, let me move it over. Because I think the knocker should be a little bit over. This is going to be interesting with what I did. I shouldn't have done this, but I should not have done what I did to the back of this. I should have done it as part of my live, but I didn't, so bear with me. This will be a little bit interesting to chalk because I'm not going to have a flat surface, but I think I could do it fine. So, okay, the hinges and the knocker are aligned, so if you line it up, you don't have to reapply the transfer for the knocker. It's proportionally in the right spot for you already. So I'm going to use my shimmer shadow, make quick work of this. Over the hinges, and then over the knocker. Easy peasy. Let me lift this up. Ah, I actually missed part of that on the bottom. I wonder if I can realign this enough to get it. Or do I want to clean it and go back? You know what, I'm going to go clean it and go back. I'm not going to take the chance of messing it up. I just didn't get enough paste through the bottom of the hinge there. I'll clean it, lay it back down again, no big deal. And now I want to do the little door. I need my fuzzing cloth because I didn't fuzz this. I'm not the little door, the little window. Oh, bear with me. It's been a long day. What could I say? And then I'll show you what I added to the back of my country church and how I'm attaching it to the white arch surface. And I want to do this in my nominee. Just get it lined up. That should be fine. Clean off my multi-tool and do the window. I'm almost done with this project, but because of the door, and it hadn't dried because it was kind of a thick layer with that air bubble that I ran into with it, kind of garbled everything up. So I'm just going to apply my paste over here, over the little window. Make sure I have it all covered. Then lift this off. Ta-da! Simple and easy. That was pretty quick. My 2 little finishing touches there. And I could probably come back with ooh, I smeared it. I smeared the hinge. Leave it up to me, right? See if I could remove that real quick. I have these little Swiffer things. Let's see if I could just take it off before it dries. Well, look at that. I was able to remove it, and as I pushed it up, it actually filled in the area of the hinge that I had missed. Okay, was that fortuitous or what? Let me clean up my fingers a little bit. I've really got a mess here. And close up my shimmer shadow and show you what I did to the back of this country church cutout. Now I'm putting this on the white arch, and I wanted it to, obviously the cutout itself gives you a certain amount of dimension, but I wanted it to stand out even a little bit more. So, and I might actually put this wreath up either here or here. It's an idea, I don't know. I have to think about that. But anyway, I wanted it to have a little bit more dimension than it would have otherwise. So this is my arch. And it's in its little base, but I wanted it to stand out from it. And I think this is actually the perfect depth. So this is what I did. I took a color tray, just a plastic color tray, hot glued a magnet to it, then hot glued the color tray to the back of my little chalkable shape. I have another magnet that I'm going to put on the back that is going to hold this. Get it just where I want it to be. It means I could take this off at any point. And the magnet on the back of my arch, I just apply the magnet from the front, attaches to it. I mean, the magnetic field holds them together. So I don't have to actually put any hot glue on my arch. So I could basically, whenever I want, spritz all this with water and remove the images, because again, these are both boutique surfaces which are fully erasable. And I'm falling out of my base. There we go. Sorry. I have to take a picture of this standing vertically so that you get a better idea. And I also realized in retrospect, I was picking up a lot of shine and shimmer from the Nominee metallic paste, which kind of, it looks pretty good right now, but last night's video, or the night before's video, you couldn't see the dimension, or you couldn't see the actual definition as well because it was too shiny. What could I say? Any questions, just drop them in the comments. I really appreciate you watching. I know this was one of my longer projects, but I think all in all, it's a little bit more involved than my normal, and I think it turned out nice. I like it. I like them independently, of course. I don't need to have the church on here. This could stand on its own as a nice little collage of holiday sentiments. Or, of course, I could do something else. I will be using these probably for Halloween decoration, too. I've got some other ideas to do with it. But I just absolutely love the definition from these transfers. I'm picking up too much light again. Just kind of hard to see.
All in all, an interesting mix of transfers. I love the country church, and I love the vintage peace and joy. Thank you for joining me. I surely appreciate it. I think this is going to be one of my favorite projects from the new Holiday 2023 collection. See you soon.